nation and the Niger Delta of Nigeria by IOCs and some of the unscrupulous elites of the nation and beyond. It will shed light 1,000 times brighter than the immediate tropical sunshine on the riddle of the oil thief. It is a story deeply ingrained in the minds of the people I met and interacted with as I painstakingly watched, listened, and smelled, and as I read the walls in the Niger Delta Hall of Fame. Only a few out of the 12 dozen sections were revealed in all. Let me quickly take you through my experience at each site, the best way I can. I hope you will feel what I felt and experience the same perspective change I have since learned to embrace on matters of oil and gas and the Niger Delta of Nigeria. Come with me. Okay, so yes, because this is just just give us an insight into just one of those stories on those walls. I think that way, yeah. Then we can take further questions. So let me go to one. Is that 149 I said before? Yes, 149. But the 149 is titled, that's chapter 16. It's titled Poison Label. I believe it is common knowledge that crude oil spillages and noxious gas emissions from flared volatile petroleum have polluted the Niger Delta air. Rivers, creeks, lakes, ponds, and rainwater for decades now. The land is also not spared because even if not direct from oil spills or through the polluted water, poison percolates the land steadily. Aside from several cases of direct penetration, these poisonous chemicals find their way into local foodstuffs and ultimately into human bodies, killing them slowly. If these are not crimes against humanity, what else could be? Who could assert it? When I heard these, I could not utter a word. She ordered me to touch the surface of a nearby pool of water in the swamp. It was greasy and glistening in the morning sun. Like a top-notch scientist with esoteric knowledge, she explained that crude petroleum, once spilled into the wetlands, rivers, seas, oceans, or whatsoever water body, immediately thins out on the surface of that water body for as long as possible. The spillage characteristically follows the path of fast-flowing rivers or the ebb and flow of the sea or ocean to cover as much space as possible. Because it is not easily biodegradable, it takes forever to thin out the thickness of one molecule, covering so much surface area that it will become invisible to the naked eyes, yet later to all forms of life, both micro and macro. It will also find its way into the human blood system via food eating. If proper cleaning is not carried out, the oil that gradually flows everywhere downstream. And when it spills in or flows into the ocean, if not contained to be, then it will flow from coast to coast, slowly dominating the entire surface of the Atlantic Ocean, and then will with time penetrate the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico from its unthinkable origin, our home, the epicenter somewhere around the Gulf of Guinea. With time, the spilled crude oil will get to the Indian and Pacific Oceans too, and slowly poison the whole world through the marine delicacies most of the world depend on for nourishment. At this time, even those in the San Francisco Bay Area, where the air is rarefied, will hardly be spared. I'm talking about going around the entire world. I saw dead fishes and heard the emotional song of a distressed Asimopopo, a kingfisher, as I looked up from where I stood. That was the stutter's version of the California Tinogonoma song. It is a commonly taught traditional song about the harmony with healthy, natural environment. That song, once remarkably familiar, has become distant and solitary. The environment has also taken a heavy toll and the master songster. The stench from the dead fishes washed ashore was too much for me to bear, even as a human. Surprisingly, the buzzing large greenhouse flies could not perch either because of the deadly ubiquitous crude petroleum that spares nothing organic and will not spare them too. Their smokable can now only be recognized from its characteristic songs. Its exceptionally colorful plumage is no more, completely gone owing to crude oil pollution. What shall our children grow up to see? Being familiar with birds myself, I wondered how one bird with the most colorful plumage in the world, could be so degraded, and no one is speaking against it. Someday, and soon, the exceptionally colorful kingfisher will only be referred to in the past tense. That is so sad to imagine. I could hardly believe my indifference to the carnage in the Nile Delta. But then, prolonged misinformation has a way of changing one's orientation. Okolo told me I was yet to see or hear anything. The implication of oil spillage on the people and the environment is better imagined. But the IOC is not bothering about the consequences of their actions. There will be diminished quantities of fishes, shrimps, and the likes. Animal and bird species are already going into extinction by the day in this region. The Asimapopo, humpback turtles, and the blue-throated green monkeys are a few examples. So sad. The vegetation and all its direct and indirect dependents are not spared in this decimation. For most plants, the numerous chemical poisons in crude oil cause root oxygen stress and are then absorbed into the plant's intercellular spaces to be sucked up by biological mechanisms. As the poison concentration increases in the plant, they penetrate its vascular system and cause the leaves to fall off one after the other and finally kill it by a lethal combination of starvation and suffocation. Spilled crude oil is a tested lethal exterminator of all life forms.
Thank you, King Dakolo. I think Riddle has taken us into the Hall of Fame. I mean, just before he got there, he was a bit anxious, but he has seen firsthand what Okolo was telling him. And it appears as if from these boys, people are a bit shocked when they get to hear or see these things. Do we think there's a genuine concern from other Nigerians, other than those from the about what?
Well, you know, in this part of the world, some persons wear ignorance as a big ornament on the forehead. And they go about today proudly, feeling so proud to be ignorant. The truth is, companies like Shell, these oil companies, particularly Shell, which operates in the Equatorial Kingdom, it's not because I'm biased, I'm used to them, for example, until recently, most persons who are employed in Shell are persons who have first-class degrees. So persons in the Niger Delta who never had first-class degrees were not employed. I'm just trying to underscore the fact that these oil companies actually go for the very best across the world. So if you have first-class PR managers, first-class engineers, first-class everything, then a community with children and old headmasters and so on and so forth cannot be a match. So before now, before this book, what we have as common knowledge about oil and gas in the world is an aberration, is a lie. It's a deliberate machination by the oil industry and their sympathizers, both local, the government from here and outside, to misinform the populace. So I can tell you that the average Nigerian is ill-informed or misinformed about oil and gas issues. So if you don't have the knowledge, how do you even blame the person? How does it even act? Now, because of the absence of this knowledge, like I said before, we've had some glorious 70s, maybe better 80s, the manageable 90s, and now we're having disaster of the 2000s. beyond. The new millennium is a complete disaster so far for Nigeria. Even places like Ghana, I just came back from Ghana a few days ago. Places like Ghana that were in serious distress a couple of decades ago have picked up their broken bone since, and they are now a darling of the world. In fact, Nigeria is losing everything to Ghana. So the issue here is that people must have this knowledge. You must have the Riddle of the oil, read it, and know exactly who your enemy is. Nigerians are behaving like people, like 20–30% locked up in a small toilet, and are thinking that their problem is their neighbor inside of that toilet that are just fatted. Okay, why you mess now? Why you they match my leg? Kind of attitude. When instead of bothering about the man who has locked them up. So Nigerians are blaming the next victim that is closest to them, that perhaps they could possibly oppress. That is the person they see as the problem. So I think that once Nigerians read this book and understand that the Niger Delta persons are multiply victimized, okay? You are victimized, your oil is taken away from you, you are given a good dose of pollution, you are not allowed to work, your schools have been destroyed, your pollution everywhere, and then they now call you an oil thief and an economic saboteur. Your communities are bombed down, razed down every day, and calling them camps. And then every man you see, whether chief or professor or anybody from the Niger Delta, is stigmatized as a militant or thief or something. What kind of attitude is that? So it is the ignorance, and so this book is here as a stopgap to make people to have a new knowledge and understanding of the issues of oil and gas, and to know above all that their own welfare depends on their being just to the Niger Delta people and the Niger Delta cause.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That is quite interesting. That's quite good. It's all about fairness. I remember when talking about what the Niger Delta people need in terms of they have 30% realization and all that. And I was instructed to explain a bit what fairness means. Fairness, my own opinion, is whether people have access to resources they can use, not resources they can accommodate. I'll take the Nigerian situation for example. If, for example, we are asked to construct 20-kilometer roads in every state, and so you construct 20-kilometer roads in Sokoto, you construct another 20-kilometer road in Bayelsa, Ogun State, as the case may be, we are not talking about cost. But whereby you come and say that the 20-kilometer road in Sokoto will cost maybe 20 million, but the 20-kilometer road in Bayelsa will only be enough for feasibility study. And therefore, you give everybody 20,000, whatever they feel like. Then nothing will be done in those places that have challenge. Moreover, the places where the 20 million is coming to construct all the 20-kilometer roads is coming from Bayelsa, and they are not able to do a 20-kilometer road because you just given a one statement. That is what the people have. Maybe I have not been able to articulate the Nigerian but this conversation of fairness. So going forward now, there's this whole complaint about people from elsewhere. I mean Nigerians, people from outside. Well, now you have the Unpacked, you have the Unpacked, now you have the NPDC, and there's amnesty for militants, all that. What does the Delta want?
Well, the Niger Delta is not born for tokenization. So when you get this so-called interventionist bodies, which I believe that little children of 22 and 24 years of age, graduates of Uniport and NGU and so on, can effectively run the Niger Delta Commission. That's what they call it, NBC, as such places, effectively. But in the last 20 plus years, NDC for instance, and there's a chapter on it, NDC for instance has gulped well over 20 trillion naira. Okay? About $80 billion has been expended by the body they call NDC. I think recently you heard about 13,000 failed projects from NDC. Of course, that is the work of the people. But it has not quite helped matters. Now you must understand how these things work. If you don't understand, you keep blaming the victim. Almost everybody that has been appointed to the NDDC is a victim of what they call mastermind manipulations. Because before you are put there, for instance, those who are putting you there will want to check you out. They want to take you places. If you're a man, they want to give you 1, 2, 3 women to sleep with. And then unknown to you, it is photographed, it is videographed. They want to take you abroad and help you buy a house. And they have the receipts. Okay? And then you come and start work. So when you start work, they say, oh boy, send me 10,000 US dollars. When you say, my brother, they show you one of the receipts that they want to release it to. Or they show you a video of you and one white woman kissing yourself and so on and so forth. In the nude. So you become cowed. And you now begin to behave like a sheep. That is what you see. So the person there, even though, yes, it's like the story of Esau and Jacob, you are seeing the body of Esau, the body of Esau, but the voice of Jacob, the kind of a thing. That is what will happen. They are not allowed a free hand to operate these interventionist bodies. Can't you see that 20 years of NDDC, there is no development? What called development? Okay, and then you want to ask yourself, since you all have, you're all educated, how many persons have been jailed? How many persons have been jailed? If you put me in charge of the security of Bookville Ward, okay, and I stay at that door, and then books are disappearing every day, I'm the only one there, and books are disappearing every day, I do not catch any of the people taking the books, then who is the thief? It's obviously me. It's obviously me. So if you put Ekpeyong as the group, is it, what do you call it, MT of NDDC, for example? I wanted to say GMT. If you put Ekpeyong, for instance, as the MT of NDDC or whatever, and then he spends a couple of billions, and after his tenure, he does not go to jail for mismanagement, and he's walking about freely, it means that he did what the masters wanted him to do. That's why he's not in jail. He did not do what we wanted him to do. He has done what his masters wanted him to do. And so he said they are good books, and so he's not what in jail. So if they were doing anything wrong, you would have seen most of them in jail. I know that a couple of former bosses of NDDC have been invited by EFCC, so EFCC today, EFCC tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. But no one goes to jail. It is all a way of saying, my friend, weigh your loot, bring my portion, bring my portion. And once you give them their portion, you walk away freely and go and enjoy your golf course in Piccadilly Avenue or somewhere in England, or some golf course somewhere, or go and play or gamble in Las Vegas. So that is why these interventionist bodies do not quite function for our sake. Those who created the contraption, as beautiful as it is in black and white, is made not to work from day one. It is what they call a mere subterfuge. It is a way of saying, Niger Delta youth, keep quiet now, pull it. We want to solve the problem. Look at the blueprint. In 10 years, El Dorado, everybody claps for you and goes to sit down, only for you to sit there for 20 years without any result. And no one is in jail. Until someone is in jail, I will tell you that it is a wayo. That's what they call it in Nigeria, wayo.
Yes, thank you. A related matter will be this suit menace that we are now facing. I don't know whether you experience it in your kingdom, because I think it started just gradually. We didn't know what was happening, and everybody's feet was black. I mean, some 5 years ago. And people begin to speculate and all that. And now the blame is to the people of Nigeria that you are burning your business, there's open fire and all sort of things. I don't know how you want to react to that.
Well, I used to listen to music a lot. I relate with the reggae musicians from Jamaica. There's a song that says, "I'm through experience to be taken for a ride. I'm through experience to be taken for a stroll." Okay? So I'm actually through experience to be deceived by a thing like this. Suit is experienced in Biafra as well. In fact, my kingdom, there is there is a flare point that is less than 150 meters from the palace. Yes. And it is not always on, but once in a while they come and put it on, and everywhere goes black in the Potomac Kingdom and environment. And before you go and make a report, it will have gone off. It will be on for like 6 days, and then they put it out, and they deny everything. These days we are waiting for them. When they do it again, we are going to videograph it and ensure that we stream it live, so the whole world will see that this is what is going on. Now, what is the story about the suit? Okay. Yes, you want to blame the victim to say they are doing profile, right? And that is what is possible. Now, in this book, there's a chapter about the suit. How some guy once died of some rashes. If you read it, you will enjoy it. It's told graphically. And how some places have all gone black. You have to clean 10, 20 for any reason. The answer is no. If you read this book, you will see that no Niger Delta youth would ordinarily want to go and just bust pipeline for the sake of it. In the 70s, in the 50s, we did not bust pipeline. In the 60s, we did not. In the 70s, we did not. In the 80s, we did not. In the 90s, late 90s, particularly after Ken Saro-Wiwa was murdered brutally, people started to operate with a different tactics. Because if you talk, nobody answers. You talk, you are beaten. Ken Saro-Wiwa didn't kill anybody, but he was killed. And so, of course, and then there are some persons, people like the Timo and so they said, that used to say he has 1,001 ways, 200 and something ways of killing the Golis and so on. And nobody was punished for this. So the youth felt or realized that the only way they could perhaps get some justice was also to act like the security agencies at the time. Now, but if you do not have education, you don't have education, the father has no job, you have no means of survival, it is natural, except a lame dog that is tied to a stake, you want to do something to be alive. Okay? So, if you go and, for example, collect food somewhere, and you are refining it, okay, which is what they call profile, you don't have education. Now, someone in the security services is asked to come and prevent you from doing that. He comes to your position or location where you have, let's say, 1,000 barrels of crude oil. And he sets them ablaze, pours them into the ecosystem, and then they float on top of the water at the creeper. You put fire on it with your PhD, with your rank as an officer, okay? With your DSc in criminology and so on and so forth. Between you and the illiterate young boy who didn't go to school, who is culpable. So the River State suit got to an all-time high when Civil Defense and JTF and the rest of them set every place they saw ablaze. Instead of recovering this crude, they burnt them. They did worse damage. They polluted the system more than the man who does not have education. So, I can tell you that if today you are drunk, real drunk, and you give me a slap, and I know that you are drunk, I will say, oh, but maybe carry this guy away. Because he's drunk. But if you are conscious of yourself, you are not drunk, you are sober, and you do that, I will think that you are actually a madman. So that is the story about suit. The suit is the recklessness of the security or the, what do you call it, what's the word? Overzealousness of the security agents or agencies that they put in charge of trying to minimize this. That is what caused the suit, and that is what is causing the suit. The other thing is, it is not about looking at, the other thing is, it's not about looking at, the symptoms. I was in medical school a little, and I have a lot of doctor friends, and I had a doctor interview me. The scientific method, or the diagnostic method of medicine, doctors, when you try to diagnose to find the root cause, yes, you must understand the root cause rather than begin to look at symptoms. Yeah. Okay? And so far, Nigeria is so good at bottling and spending money on symptoms. Why would a normal full-fledged person go and be doing a risky bull-fire business. Why? When your economy is comatose, when there's no job, there's no school, there's no opportunity for any normal human being, you give room for everything else. So don't blame the youths. In fact, I've been a teacher, and a long time ago I've always learned, again from my radio songs, don't blame the children, blame the teachers, for they taught the children. So the teachers who have taught the children, who have made the economy so hot, are responsible for black suit, whether black or blue, in Rivers State and everywhere else in the country. Let them stop gas flaring. The PIB has not helped matters. The PIA, the Particular Industry Act, that is recently passed, does not have a date for ending of gas flaring. It says that oil and gas companies can pay penalties like royalties. Royalties means endless payment of whatever you want to pay. If you want someone to continue in his madness, you put small penalty. If you want him to stop, you put heavy penalty, and he stops. In England, most people will not bother about you. They just give you a fine for driving recklessly, give you £200 to pay, and you know what it means. You don't pay on time, they increase it to 400, and so on and so forth. In no time, you will know that, in fact, you should behave well. If you're driving, that's going to drive your car. So that's the situation.
Yeah. No, very interesting. I mean, the fact that people do not even appreciate that part of the suit is from the gas flaring of the oil producing company that have been here for over 50 years now. So I think people need to have a better perspective on what is happening. We don't know whether, do we have questions from online? What about from audience? We are just happy listening to them. I think you are telling a very interesting tale. And sitting down here with you, I was just imagining that this is a conversation that is taking place. You know, not because that is still current and it's still issue that we are facing. That people think that now that things have been settled in Nigeria, everybody can go home. But I think it's a conversation that needs to take place. Recently, just before you have your question. Okay, thank you very much. Can you pass on the microphone to me? Is there another mic? I can take mine.
Good day, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Good day, everyone. Somehow I stumbled into this gathering.
Yes.
I met this young man, and he asked me the address of this place. So I walked down there, and somehow I saw a well-dressed young man.
I'm a first class treasurer.
No, you're a young man, sir. A young man.
160 years old.
Now, you are royalty, and some of the things you said actually riveted me. I have consciously listened to you. I wanted to go. Consciously listening to you. I have a question. Can you in any way break this your book down so it will trickle down, not just to the oil sector, to the government officials, to the kids at kindergarten? Because I have nothing against the white man or the British colonial masters. Like you rightly said, people are wandering, basically in ignorance. I think from the kindergarten, writers like you, royalty or majesties like you should be able to communicate so that the kids coming up, especially the Niger Delta youth, should be able to have an inkling of what is really going on around their environment. Because we don't know. Not that we don't want to know, or we are not allowed to know. We just don't care. So my question is, can you, in maybe your next edition, trickle this thing down? And I want to use this opportunity to advise the Ministry of Education to try and take a look at this book and spread it around. I'm not actually marketing for you, but it is disheartening that as we are in the Niger Delta, some people are graduate, I'm a graduate myself, but I'm working on rubber slippers. I almost did not come in because when I saw the caliber code, I'm like, okay, the information is what I don't joke with. So, sir, please think about it in your next edition. Thank you, sir.
It's okay. Thank you so much for this very provoking Governor Doyediri of the state. He has already caused this book. It was launched in June. He has already caused it to be in the Bayelsa State curriculum for secondary education, senior secondary education. So from SS1 to 3, we'll compulsorily read this book because it feels that it will know. And I can tell you that if that is done for like 3 years, already the consciousness will change and the way they relate to issues will change. It will just be okay for other states to follow suit, and perhaps for the country. Because this, even though it's a 90,000 story, it's about oil and gas exploitation, but it's also about the 90 million of the poorest, of the poor persons of the world that are residents of Nigeria. And it's also about the peace and security of everybody, both rich and poor. So I want to thank you a lot for that. And I want to thank my former classmate, O.J. Harry. I used to be my classmate at St. Aquinas Secondary School. I have not seen for years. Apparently he saw this online and decided to keep a date. And he has brought you along to come and ask this very important question. Now, the Doyediri did not stop there. He felt that this should also go to all the state tertiary institutions in Bayelsa State. So, this College of Health Technology, School of Nursing, the universities at Nigeria University, Medical University, the University of Africa, and all those schools should also read this book. As a matter of fact, it is one thing, one major giveaway to persons who come to the palace of the Benue, the Coconut Kingdom. Because it is like, look, go and get informed. You know, this aura of ignorance you carry about is not too good. Let us diffuse it for you. So that's what we try to do. Now, beyond that, I think there's also another job, which is more of between myself and perhaps the publishers, to get a kids version of this book, which is doable, and then so we can let it out to the children at some point. And for the secondary school, I believe they won't be buying exactly this. This one was made, you know, with some of the best of paper quality and whatever for people who can afford it. But for school purposes, we'll bring down the quality of the paper and have the print. And of course, young people have sharper eyes, so they could read easily. So it may come to like half of this, and then the cost may come down to like 3,000 to 4,000. When we started, the price was actually, we were looking at like 3,500. But by the time we finished, with the galloping inflation of Nigeria, it was no longer possible to sell it that way. And so it's going now for whatever cost every year. But you won't regret any money. In fact, I've challenged anybody that wants to pick up this book to say that I guarantee guarantee your money back. Okay? I will double the money back. If you read this book and you feel that this is nonsense, then come back, bring the book, and take twice your money. Because it is written in a manner that I can tell you that you can't drop it once you start reading it. So I hope that the governments of these other states will follow suit, take cue from Doyediri.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. I was just going to. Maybe you are not aware, we have some other audience who are with us online. Okay. Yeah, so quite a lot of them are out there. Okay. And somebody has asked a question. It has to do with the gas flaring. Okay. His name was Mr. Shehu. He wanted to find out that he was informed that the gas that you flare can be used to generate electricity. Why is it not done?
Well, this question is supposed to be asked to the government of Nigeria. Why is the government of Nigeria wasting our money? Gas is as valuable as crude. In fact, gas is safer than crude. So elsewhere, what we are doing, what the government of Nigeria has been doing with the IOCs, and for the IOCs, can you blame them? The IOCs are foreigners who have come here to make money and they don't care about you. But your government ought to care. Okay? So what is happening now is like a hunter who goes hunting. He kills an elephant, he takes the heart of the elephant and the ears, and he walks away and allows the rest of the elephant to rot. So Nigeria has been wasting gas for about 70 years. Every time you see that flare, is millions of dollars going to waste. There are well over 144. That is a dozen gas flare points right now in this country, burning gas every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every year. More than that. So you can see how much of your money that is going every day. If you are making XYZ billions of dollars from crude oil, you are also losing an equivalent or more from gas. So it is the height of stupidity. When I started here, I said that some people prefer to wear ignorance on their foreheads as gold, as ornaments, and they are proud of it. I don't want to be any of such, and it is not my responsibility. I think the man who I just asked this question should go and look for a copy of the Riddle of the Oil Thief and read it. When you read it, you will be able to see why this has not been done. NNPC, for instance, has been filled with all kinds of human beings that do not have the competence. TPR, which has just been abrogated or so a few days ago, has been a regulator that is so ineffective that gas flaring has been going on forever. Pollution has been going on forever. You know, see, I've been in this world enough to know. For those of you who are Christians, and I believe it is there in other holy books as well, that you know a tree from the fruit it bears, isn't it? And if that tree does not bear the right fruit or any fruit, it is good to be cut down and used as firewood. So if every season you keep having some kind of government or government people who are not doing the right thing, why do you keep recycling them? We have persons who have been in government before some of us were born, and they are the same choice of the people every day, every year. Very soon we're going to have another set of elections, and I know that Nigerians will happily bring the worst of all the candidates that will come. And I expect some change. It's so very funny how people want things, doing the same thing, and then they want things to change. So thank you so much, Mr. Online Man. And we are still available for more questions. Right? Thank you so much for that question. Okay, somebody wants to answer this.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your
So I'm very, very happy
to be here.
because
All you have been saying. So I'm very, very happy
to be here. Because all you have been saying, I've been memorizing and thinking about way forward.
this country, this
Nigeria.
from the little
It's not all.
the factor of the ability quality farming.
A lot I'm thinking.
I can't hear you. So my question is like this.
How do you stop these oil thieves? Because from your analysis and everything, you made mention about oil spillage, how people come and loot our oil, without employing our people. You made mention about Shell, they go for the first class citizens, and our people are not first class. We keep on employing people out there to come and exploit our oil. And there are things I noticed because I've been in the oil sector. I noticed a lot of things. And there's no way, I found out that there's no way you can employ somebody that are not competent
in oil sector, and the person will not do well, because in that sector, if you made a mistake, it will affect all the whole systems. So I found out that there's no way you can employ somebody that's not competent. As at times they employ people that fail, that can do the job. But I blame our people. During the regime of President Jonathan, I appointed a minister to be a Niger Delta person, and they did not do anything about it. So my question goes like this: our people at times goes at the back, collect money from them, goes back, and there are people that are fueling these things. And if you keep on saying, oh, oil thieves, people come down there to come and thief our oil. But even if we put our people in charge, they will not do something about it. How do we stop these oil thieves? That's what my question is. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, the solution to these problems will not just be said here. Because like I said, if I mention to you that this is a solution, it may be so trivial. I don't want to know the solution to this. So first and foremost, you need to go and read the book so you understand the problem. If you understand the problem, then you understand why that solution is prescribed. So that's the first part. Now for this bit you have said, it will be okay to look at it this way. The persons who get into positions who do not act right, first and foremost, who are they? What competencies do they have? For example, I have not been put into such position and I did not act right. So it's very possible that the persons you look out for to put in those positions are people who will not be able to actually do that job. You know who you're looking for. That's on that aspect. It doesn't matter whether you bring my son or my daughter. How aware, like you are saying, you are confessing to me that you are so ignorant about this issue. You are getting to know now. It means that if they had appointed you somewhere yesterday, you will have behaved like these other guys. So first and foremost, can everyone go through this and understand it before you qualify to be put into such public places to do the job? Now about competence. I don't know where you come from. Can you mention your community, please? Just mention it, just for the sake of anyone you want. No town. Okay, so let's assume that you are from Isikwato, okay? Now, your great-grandfathers, isn't it? But you are speaking English. Okay? Why are you speaking English? Because you came in contact with white man and Western education. So, who is competent? The competent person is someone who has been trained to be competent. You cannot be competent just by birth. You have been competent by training. And so, in my understanding as a school teacher, I've taught thousands of persons, and they're everywhere in the world. Go and ask them. They will tell you that I was such a wonderful tutor. Okay? So if you teach people how to be excellent, they will be excellent. If in the military there is a corps where there are some courses you do, it is either you score, if you score 99, you failed. Yes, you score 99, you failed. And I can give you an example. If I tell you my PIN code, okay? My PIN code, now that's what they call it. You go and collect money, and I give you my card, and I give you my PIN. So say my PIN is 1123, 1123. And then you go, and on the way you forget it. And you go and write 1233. Okay, so you say 1213, for example. Will you get the money? You won't get the money because you have missed it. So excellence, I can train you from beginning to be a fool. Okay? By having a bad system and a bad school. And I can train you to be excellent. Even the English you speak. If you had attended King's College in Lagos, your English will have been different. Isn't it? If you attended perhaps maybe Bereton or something, your English will have been different. Abi? So, your competence is a function of your grooming. Even in the 70s, people attended comprehensive and they did well. 80s, they did well. And then you, what's the word? You politicize politicized education. Okay? There's no more boarding school. There's no more school. You now look for cotton and nail tutors everywhere. No motivation. Do you know that when we were young, when I was in school, in secondary school, nobody will want to work in shell. If you ask a civil servant, come and go and work in shell, he will say, waka. You will say, waka. You understand? Because it was better to work in this service, in the civil service. But today, working is related. The young people will not know. So you need to read this book to understand how far your future or your today has been stolen from you. Your future has been taken away. I believe I've answered your question. Is there anything left?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you, Your Majesty. My name is David Jack. I apologize for coming here very late. However, I have just two questions I'd like to ask here. My first question is on your educational background, sir. You had your primary school in
Yes.
a place with the landmarks which cross with pipelines here and there. And in an interview you had with this age newspaper sometime this year, you gave a very pictorial description of how during class sessions, yes, you could from afar see these pipelines here and there, and how even from behind you saw many oil tankers loading crude.
Exactly.
Yeah, my question is, did that in any way affected your education as a child? And what impact did that have on your understanding of crude oil politics?
That's one. Second question.
Secondly, there's been the announcement or a proposed pardon for the late Spencer River. I want to ask, your book is on oil theft. Yeah, it's not the title, to be precise, but it's about oil politics, I guess, of which I'll get a copy if I leave here. I want to ask, being a scholar of the Niger Delta and one researching so much in the area of oil, crude, petroleum politics and all that, this pardon by the federal government for Saro River, does it really vindicate what Saro River stands for? Or it is to further say we have criminals in the Niger Delta? Or it is? Yes, the proposed pardon by the federal government for Ken Saro River and the 8 others, does it really in any way vindicate our struggle as Niger Delta people? What Saro River stood for, or it in a way criminalizes these activities?
Okay, thank you so much. Very deep questions. Pipeline. As a tutor, I would say that a distraction is a distraction. A student is supposed to concentrate. And so if he's distracted, it means that he loses concentration. And so for that moment, he will not get as much as he would have. So if I were not distracted by all of those ships and all of those honing and all of those pipelines and all of those everything, I would have been a better person today. So as better as I may seem, I actually would have been much better than this. And no government should watch any group, whether a company or not, to have its youths distracted for any reason. A learning environment is supposed to be a serene environment for the people to learn. If they are going on an excursion, that is a different ballgame. It means you want to expose them to specifics for a reason. Anyway, I am getting back at those persons who distracted me by exposing their story, their secrets. So it's good enough. Perhaps if I had not gotten the credential of working from refinery quarters to Ibulia every day. And of course, if you look at the book, you go to page 198 of the book, you will see the pipeline. They are still there. Oh. The pipelines are still there today as we speak. These pictures were taken a few days to the publishing of this book. These pipelines, the same pipelines of 1,000 years ago, of about 60 or so years ago, are still there, bordering the community, the secondary, the primary school. If you go to another page, page 274, you see another set of rusty pipelines. They're everywhere, crisscrossing the